morning. Welcome back to my channel. This is the fifth and final part of the smear people. I want to say thank you to everybody who has watched the first four parts, who's liked, subscribed, shared, etc. The reception I've had has been just really amazing, and I can't thank you all enough. So my disclaimer is that this is just for my entertainment. These are my opinions. I don't have any, official credentials in the mental health field. I have a lot of experience with toxic people. I'm an ex-mechanic with an English degree. And I think that's it. So thanks for coming, and let's carry on with Dr. John and the Smear People Part 5. Here we go.
I don't know what she did, but she wakes up at that point because she realizes that Becky's not going to stop until she's completely...
Okay, so he thought it was the end of the thought experiment, which is where I ended my last video, but apparently that wasn't the end of the thought experiment. So back to Becky and Victoria.
Ruined her life, or she's deceased. Because Becky understands that by hiding behind this argument of free speech, that she has a lifetime ticket to target and harass any person she wants over anything without any repercussions because of free speech. So my challenge to people with this thought experience, my challenge to anyone, is to say to them, if you're a mother of someone, a daughter or a son, if you're a mother, would you recommend that one of your sons or daughters engages in this type of behavior? And if you do, I guess that's your choice, right? Free speech. But I'm curious,
So personally, I would absolutely tell my son that he should definitely speak up for himself and demand accountability from people who treat him badly, or that he should feel proud of being involved in exposing scammers and grifters. I think that's really all that's relevant here.
I'm curious. Is that a reasonable course of action for a parent to say to their child, or for an adult to say to themselves, I have an issue with this person. I'm going to set up a targeted social media account to harm them, and I will spend the rest of my life engaged in this campaign of harm.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that that's not reasonable, but also that's not what's happening here. So again, with Dr. John, he's comparing things that aren't the same to try to position himself and Lauren as victims. So more of the same that we've seen so far.
Until I ruin this human being. And even if you argue that that's free speech, that doesn't even consider, because this is a philosophical thought experiment, you have to consider the ethical and moral implications of that behavior. We're not even addressing that.
So we don't have to consider the ethical and moral implications of that behavior, because that's not happening here. Certainly, Sylvia and Becky's behavior in this thought experiment is beyond the pale, but the whole thought experiment is beyond the pale. So again, everything that he's saying here, like so much of what he said before, you can basically ignore because it's not what's happening here.
Are there ethical and moral implications to letting your child set up such an account under the auspices of free speech to harm someone else? That's my question.
No, it's not okay. Again, that's not what's happening here. Can we move on now? I'm going to say I doubt it.
I do want to return to a part of that thought experiment, by the way. It has to do with the part about going into...
He wants to return to the thought experiment because we aren't already bored to tears with it.
Court and being told essentially that this is just nothing but mean girl stuff. Even though Victoria, in this thought experiment, Victoria has never responded online. She's never said anything about Becky. She's never fought back, right?
I think that there is evidence that Lauren did say stuff, that she was actually contacting Christina. Christina was posting on her social media account to the public, and Lauren was contacting her personally. So again, the thought experiment.
I'm going to go back to the textbook.
He's got to go back to the textbook, of course. He can't think on his feet, Dr. John.
Stalkers and their victims, second edition. Let's consider...
Also to point out that this is a UK textbook, and laws around free speech are very different in the UK than they are in the United States.
This whole idea of a cat fight. Here's what Mullen, they have a chapter 11, it's on female stalkers. Here's what Mullen et al. Say about female stalking. Victimization studies, quote, this is on page 136. Okay. Victimization studies indicate that females are seldom prosecuted for stalking offenses, with criminal justice intervention most likely to proceed in those cases involving a male accused of stalking a woman. So this is persistent. Mm-hmm. That many people, including some law enforcement, judges, you name it, they don't see stalking as stalking unless it involves a male. Females are just not...
I don't really see how that's relevant, but okay.
Prosecuted as much. And that speaks to this issue of the mean girl catfight thing, right? Mm-hmm. This stereotype that stalking is chasing someone with a gun, and specifically you better be a male, otherwise you're not going to be prosecuted, because if you're a female doing it, it's not serious. Yeah. It's a catfight, right?
But he's the one who keeps bringing up this catfight, mean girl stuff, and then doesn't define it or... yeah. I'm not sure how to finish my thoughts, so we'll carry on.
I'll go on. Quote, put simply, stalking by females is yet to be afforded the same degree of seriousness attached to males who harass. This despite empirical evidence that females are no less intrusive or persistent in their stalking, and that they are no less a threat to their...
Again, so Christina's not a stalker. The judge has already confirmed that free speech is not stalking. And so we can ignore whatever he's reading here, because A, it's from the UK, and B, she's not a stalker.
Victims. I just want to say on that issue that when it comes to stalking, and this is consistent with the research I just read, there's clearly a sexist bias. Males are prosecuted, females aren't. When females engage in this type of behavior, even though they're equally dangerous, the research shows this, that they're dismissed. And you know what's interesting about your situation?
I actually do think that's kind of interesting, even though it's not relevant in this case. So whatever he's about to say is also not relevant.
I really appreciate the fact that certain men like Colby Ryan reached out to you and said, thank you for that vulnerability.
Look at him. Literally exploiting Colby right in front of our faces while trying to defend Lauren from being accused of exploiting victims. Literally right here in front of our face. He is name-dropping Lori Vallow's victims. This is the man who went on a interview with Colby and said that he would be honored to adopt him. Literally, this person has never heard of ethical boundaries.
Thank you for that type of raw emotion. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are going to really struggle with that type of raw emotion. There's a lot of people that are going to struggle with that type of vulnerability. There's a lot of people that are...
God. Oh, these people are struggling with the raw emotion of people laughing at them because they take themselves way more seriously than they have any right to. It's exhausting just listening to them.
They're very uncomfortable. And because of that, they're labeling you things like histrionic, right? They're dismissing you.
She's acting histrionic, so people are observing that. That 9-hour video was complete histrionics. The entire thing was histrionics. And the fact that she has let all of this overwrought emotional presentation leak out and affect her son's emotional well-being is, to my mind, more evidence of her histrionics, not less.
Because you're a female expressing emotion. This is where the sexist bias comes in.
That's absolute nonsense. And he's trying once again to use something that doesn't fit this situation to position him and her as victims.
They're dismissing you as not serious, as untrustworthy.
She's not serious or trustworthy.
Right? They're dismissing you as frivolous, as silly, as being engaged in a catfight, as a dispute between mean girls because you're female.
I don't think that people are dismissing her as being involved in a catfight. I think John is once again bringing the catfight thing into it to make it his benefit. I have never characterized this as a catfight. I don't think it is a catfight. I think that Lauren has made a concerted effort to smear Christina, that she was attempting to get her arrested at CrimeCon so that they would never have to go any further with their stalking injunction, because if she was arrested, then the stalking injunction was broken, then that meant that it could be enforced, ongoing into the future, that it would no longer be temporary. To me, that's an evil plot to do exactly what they're claiming Christina is doing to them. And it's disingenuous, and it's shocking. It's unethical. It is, in my opinion, anything but silly. Although I do think that Lauren is kind of a silly... I will bite my tongue.
Because the stalker wasn't following you with a gun. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It matters. Christina never approached her. She approached Christina. Christina posted things online publicly. End of story.
People can't handle the type of vulnerability and emotion that you expressed on that live for hours. What's the response? It's to call you histrionic. It's to call you a liar. It's to say you're faking. It's to say you're doing it for clicks. You're doing it for attention, right? That's because, and by the way,
I don't think she's doing it for clicks and attention, although I do think those were really nice little, side effects that earned them God knows how much money. She's doing it to get ahead of the truth and to smear Christina. Period. It's not to show genuine emotion and try to be a role model for others, and that the side effect of that is that people are uncomfortable and so they have to attack. It's nonsense.
One of the people saying this because of this was on our show years ago. And I will say this, one of the worst moments I've ever had in 5 years. One of the moments that...
Here we go, people. He's about to lose his bananas because somebody interrupted him when he was working up to a good cry.
Pissed me off to no end. I'm like...
If you want to actually... a good example of histrionics, keep watching.
Every other moment on any show I've ever been on, this person was on the show. And somebody, a viewer asked a question of me that was extremely emotional. And I was pondering the question. You could see I was getting emotional. I was going to give one of the best responses I've ever given. And you know what happened? Because...
What a weird thing to say. I'm sorry. What a weird thing to say. How can he possibly even expect that any of us could take such a claim seriously when we don't know what the content was, when we don't know what he was about to say, when we have heard all of his absolute nonsense thus far, when we've seen him employ emotion to try to make us feel bad for Lauren when she is behind the scenes trying to destroy Christina? Why should we believe that he was about to give the best answer he ever gave? I mean, it wouldn't be hard because most of his responses are so ridiculous. But please, Dr. John, spare me.
this person couldn't handle
He's not going to spare me.
the fact that I was getting emotional. They cut me off. They absolutely...
Okay, so I'm just going to say right now that I suspect that part of his problem is being cut off by a woman when he thinks that he's in charge. He's the boss man, and how dare she? So, I mean, he is attempting to employ the idea of misogyny to win this argument, and yet here he is behaving like a complete misogynist and bragging about it.
Absolutely cut me off, refused to let me answer because they couldn't handle that emotion. In a male, especially in a male, that raw emotion.
And again, how does he know this? Is he just surmising, or did the video end and the person went, oh my God, I just couldn't handle all that raw emotion, especially from a man? I very much doubt that.
That I was about to express. And
dude has his knickers in a twist because somebody interrupted him when he was working up to the unadulterated pleasure of hearing himself talk.
I was so angry. If this person wonders why she's not on our channel, you might want to look at yourself. You might want to look at the fact that you cut me off in one of the most critical moments on one of our shows that I've ever had. You might want to look.
He's losing his bananas, folks.
At the fact that people didn't like you. You might want to look at the fact that you spoke over Lauren and myself. You might want to look at the fact that you thought you owned this channel when you didn't. You might want to look at the fact that there was a groundswell of people who despised you.
A groundswell of people who despised you. Is this the sort of a thing that a psychologist should be doing online when basically we all know the name of the person that he's referring to and he is absolutely trash talking her and saying that people despise her? Is that responsible behavior from a psychologist? Because in my books, it's crybaby nonsense from a man baby who got his feelings hurt by someone who was uncomfortable with his, I mean, I can't say she was uncomfortable, but I certainly would have been, with his self-importance and his performative emotion. It's ridiculous and it's unethical and it's embarrassing and it's disqualifying.
So this idea.
Also, look at Lauren's face here. So if anybody is uncomfortable with Dr. John's emotion right now, I'd say it's Lauren. And in fact, her instincts are on point here because he is embarrassing the crap out of both of them here.
Of female stalkers being frivolous and silly and hysterical and overly emotional. Most of the people saying that are males. Because they can't
Sorry, he's literally describing himself right there, which is one of the things he does a lot while thinking he's describing someone else.
Handle that type of emotion. They can't handle that vulnerability. So the easy response to that is to point the finger at you and say, you're lying, you're faking. The goal?
I don't know if he's lying or faking. I think he's high on his own supply. That's what I think.
Is not only to play in this, to fall into the stereotype of that only males are stalkers, only males can be violent. That's bullshit. The goal is to disempower.
I haven't heard anybody in reference to this whole saga over these many weeks that it's been unfolding. I haven't heard a single person say that. The only person I have heard make reference to women can't be stalkers, it's only men, is John. Something he was reading out of a textbook from the UK that, I think that there is truth in the fact that female stalkers are experienced differently than male stalkers. And again, it's not like that's irrelevant. It's just not relevant here because Christina is not a stalker.
Empower you. The goal is to disempower all females that are stalked by other females. The goal is to make.
So again, like what? Whose goal? What is he talking about? What goal? The goal is to disempower all females? Whose goal?
You look irrational. The goal is to make you look weak and stupid and irrational. It's to call.
Nobody needs to make Lauren look weak and stupid and irrational. Lauren has made herself look weak and stupid and irrational. And if you don't believe me, please go over and have a look at her little 9-hour video, because it is embarrassing.
You a liar, to discredit you. And you know what it's about? It's about the fact that these people cannot handle vulnerability.
It's so hilarious. People can't handle vulnerability. I feel like Christina made herself very vulnerable by putting out those TikToks. And the result was that she had a lot of people on side with her going, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Who is this friend or ex-friend that has behaved in such a way? Christina's the one making herself vulnerable, and it has empowered her. So, again, he's talking nonsense.
About the fact that years ago when that person cut me off, she could not handle my vulnerability and my raw emotion, and I'm still pissed.
He's still pissed. I don't know if you could tell by the outburst, calling her all sorts of things and claiming that everyone despises her. Not sure if you picked up on the fact that he's still pissed off 5 years later about being interrupted by a woman who he sees as some kind of an upstart who thought the channel was hers, when she was working for them and she clearly was empowered to behave in certain ways. And I mean, I haven't seen the interview, but to me it sounds like she could very likely just have been trying to stop dead air from happening while John sat there and worked himself up into a tearful state that he could then display for the whole of everybody, so they could see how important it is that men be also vulnerable. Whatever he thought that he was about to unforgettable moment he was about to deliver to his adoring public. I mean, it's all so ridiculous.
Years later, I'm pissed that somebody cut me off when I was going to answer my question.
I was going to answer my question. It was my question. Are we 5? Is there not some way this could have been addressed after the video was made and put to bed then? Like, literally, he's 5 years later, he's been holding this in and stewing on it so that he can come out here and be and smear people again. It's shocking. More shocking behavior from Dr. John.
In probably the most vulnerable way I could ever answer a question. Because it was about my son.
The most vulnerable way he could possibly ever answer a question, because it's about his son, who he cares about so much that he's helping his wife to work the son up into paroxysms of terror about the possibility of his mother being unalived by a vicious and hate-filled stranger.
It was about JJ.
JJ. Oh, here we go. More name dropping, more using vulnerable people to prop up his own nonsense, more unethical, self-aggrandizing nonsense.
So I say to all the haters who are claiming that you're lying and that this can't be stalking, I say to them, I challenge them.
She looks kind of terrified. Like, what's he going to say next?
To look again. And to check their own emotions and to check themselves and their own inability to be vulnerable.
So he's accusing people of being incapable of vulnerability because of one incident 5 years ago in which someone interrupted him when he was about to express his vulnerability. So, people, you need to look at yourselves. Have you been mean to Dr. John when he was just trying to express his vulnerability? Not nice, people. Not nice.
Because what they're doing is despicable. And I want to make it...
The only people who are being despicable in all of this that I have seen is these two. And Grayson. I kind of think Grayson is a hostage, though, so I don't know. Maybe it's unfair. I shouldn't be... I mean, she has agency, and she's made her choice, so...
Comment 2. I want to go back to this idea of psychological essentialism where we started, that all people, at some level, want to see themselves as good people.
these two are so desperate to see themselves as good people that they're willing to burn their own kingdom to the ground in pursuit of it.
And that people often take small traits and amplify them, generalize from those traits to define another human being. Remember Gabriel, the herder?
Mm-hmm. Gabriel, the 4-year-old herder.
Do you remember Gabriel, the 4-year-old herder? Gabriel who? What? Who's Gabriel? What? Yes, Dr. John, we remember Gabriel. You made a complete ass of yourself with the whole Gabriel thing. Apparently we're going to be treated to more.
There's a lot of people out there that are mocking your looks. They're making fun of your appearance. And I just want to say on that,
okay, so again, she's a public figure. She has said publicly that she loves herself some Botox. Her appearance has changed noticeably. And she's a phony. And people see this alteration, this cosmetic alteration, as part of that phoniness. So he's trying to make it like it's ad hominem attacks or whatever. And I see that in isolation he might be able to pull that off. But it's all part and parcel of the performatively empathetic Lauren Matthias. So as far as I'm concerned, her appearance is fair game.
people can, you're laughing about some of it. It's funny, right? Like some of it's roasting you, but let's look a little deeper, right? Like that's psychological essentialism. If you want to disempower a female, the easiest way to do it is to mock her looks.
Again, he's positioning Lauren as the innocent victim and Christina et al. As the evil villains who are attacking her for no reason. And he's leaving out all the context that I just gave you of her performative empathy and the right that people have to comment on her looks as they are connected with that performance of goodness and empathy. And if Lauren is so insecure about herself that she needs to use all this cosmetic surgery and injections, etc., it tells us a lot about her. It contradicts her narrative that she's this confident journalist out there in the world, and it gives us a way into how insecure is she really, and is that playing into her behavior in this circumstance?
And then to say, look, she looks stupid. She must be stupid, right? It's to do the very thing that...
So I haven't heard anybody saying she looks stupid, therefore she must be stupid. I have seen Turtle Boy draw fake eyebrows on his face to, as Dr. John said, to roast her. And I think that's fair. Again, when you put yourself out in public, you are fair game for people to make comments on your public persona. And Lauren's public persona is problematic in the extreme.
The 4-year-old was doing to Gabriel, which was to take a particular element, a particular attribute of you, your looks, whatever, your eyebrows, right? And it was to say that because of that...
Okay, again, this is nonsense, so I feel like I've just said that this is nonsense and I've explained why it's nonsense. So once again, whatever nonsense he's going on with now, you can also ignore it because it's not... He's describing a different situation than the one that they're actually in, where Lauren has put herself out there to be judged, and people are judging her and finding her wanting. And that her looks, her fake presentation is a part of that. So basically ignore whatever he's saying about, oh, that's the way to get to a woman, etc. Like the ad hominem attacks on, instead of an actual argument. But I've just given you the argument, so you can ignore him.
You're a clown. Because of the way you look.
I mean, she is a clown, but yes. Because of the way she looks and because of the way she acts.
That you're silly and you can't be taken seriously and therefore you must be a liar. And you know what? That's fucking bullshit.
Oh! The F word, people. John is mad. Look out.
And it pisses me off because it is so sexist and it is so demeaning and it is so disempowering of women.
After his little tirade about Lori Hellis just there, I think we can again ignore his I'm such a feminist defending women stance that he's taking here.
And you get it all the time, unfairly. You get it from women. But it's a classic case of psychological essentialism in the sense that you're taking one attribute, your looks, or any female's looks. I'm sure a lot of females out there have gone through this.
So nobody is taking one attribute, her looks, and deciding that she's silly because of that. They are taking the situation as far as they understand it, and they are interpreting her looks as a part of what is going on with her.
It's taking one aspect, one attribute of you, and generalizing to your personality and defining you in terms of that.
Yeah.
And if that's not sexist, then then I don't know what the hell is. But
So it's not happening. So I mean that would be sexist, but it's not happening. So it's not sexist. It's accountability coming knocking, like we were saying the other day.
In today's world, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter in the sense that, and it's not. By the way, you're so used to it; it's not going to harm you.
Right.
But I think what I want to say is I want the people to be aware of let's call this what it is. When you mock someone's looks, do you really believe that that's defining their personality? Do you really believe that that is a valid?
Does he really believe what he's saying here? Because if he does, again, the man can't even have a logical argument. So how he is in a position of evaluating violent offenders for the likelihood that they're going to offend again is beyond me. Somebody messed up.
Perspective on who that person is, that that's a valid insight into who that person is. It's obviously not.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I know that cognitive, I talked to.
He's not trying to change anybody's mind? I'm sorry, that is not how I experience this at all. Or I don't know, maybe they're hoping to reach out to people who are already on their side and convince them to stay on their side, in which case he wouldn't be having to get anybody to change their mind. But it seems to me like this entire thing is about damage control. And part of that is getting people to change their mind about what they can see with their own eyes.
About it earlier. I know that confirmation bias and the cognitive response principle mean that no matter what information you give someone, they're not going to change their mind. They're just going to come up with reasons why they're right. I know
Again, we've already shown that people thought Lauren was really great, and then they were given different information and they changed their mind. So his heavy reliance on confirmation bias to make his argument is pointless because it's not true. We've already debunked that.
Confirmation bias that whatever I say here, they already have an opinion. They're going to believe that no matter what. So I'm just putting this out there because I'm trying to compliment.
I mean, I did already have an opinion, but then when I watched this, my opinion was further confirmed because of how much he is lying and stretching the truth and you cherry picking various different bits of research to try to control the narrative. He's using textbooks from the UK that don't apply in the US in terms of free speech, etc.
Your 9-hour live with my lesser version of that, my research-based live that analyzes the situation.
Don't say it's a lesser version, John. It's just different. That's all. It's not less. It's just different.
Because you know what? That's what our viewers expect. That's what our viewers like. This is what we do.
This is what they do, and it's a grift. So thanks for revealing that and admitting it, John. Appreciate that.
At Hidden True Crime.
And for those of you that didn't know, because I think a lot of people that are talking about the epic 9-hour live haven't even watched this before. This is what we do here at Hidden True Crime.
This is what we do.
I think that if people saw that 9-hour live, if that was their first exposure to hidden true crime, I very much doubt if they would go, I'm going to go and watch all their other videos because they seem so measured and reasonable that obviously all of their coverage is going to be worth watching. That seems very far-fetched to me.
I do want to get back to the free speech issue. There's a couple of things I want to talk about at the end here, and then we're going to be done soon.
He's going to go on for another 25 minutes.
You read this on your live? This is the memorandum?
Yes.
By our attorney, Daston?
This is his reply. This is his reply to their free speech argument. The reply memorandum in support of requests for civil stalking and petitioner's pretrial brief.
I'm going to read some of this because I think it's important and it's going to reiterate some of the issues we've talked about, especially about free speech. This is from the introduction. Quote, respondents' opposition fundamentally mischaracterizes both the law and the facts of this case by advancing two legally unsupported defenses.
Okay, so it's weird that he's going to go on and read all this again to try to prove their point when the judge has already said it's free speech. It's not stalking. So, like, the reason that they canceled their thing, their hearing about the civil stalking injunction, is because they found out the lay of the land, and they realized that A, they were going to have to do the whole thing publicly, and B, they didn't have a leg to stand on. That's why he was talking earlier about going to another court anywhere but Provo, Utah, because that's, that they could find another court that would uphold the stalking injunction. But I don't think that the definition of free speech is going to be different in any other court. So whatever he's doing here, this is another attempt to control the narrative and to misrepresent the actual legal situation here.
Number one, the petitioner's social media presence somehow diminishes her protection from stalking. Think about that. Her attorneys argued that her social media presence, that your social media presence diminished your protection from stalking.
Tell that to Taylor Swift.
So somehow because you're a limited public figure and you have a social...
She's just like Taylor Swift.
media presence. Number one, did you respond to her, by the way? But that diminishes your protection from stalking. And two, that creating multiple social media accounts dedicated to attacking petitioner's character constituted protected, quote, public discourse. Both arguments fail as a matter of law.
Can somebody in the comments, if you know, can somebody tell me whether they have seen multiple social media accounts? Because the only one I'm aware of is the TikTok that Christina created, in my opinion, so that she would have an outlet for this that wouldn't be on her regular account. So if you've heard of any other dedicated accounts, please let me know.
Before this court, including sworn declarations from multiple witnesses and documented exhibits, demonstrates a calculated campaign of harassment that has caused petitioner, you, to experience suicidal ideation for the first time in her life. As petitioner testified, up until 2025, I've never questioned that before. This has felt like a complete nightmare I can't wake up from, unquote. The dangerous precedent...
I mean, I'm sure that's true. I'm sure she feels like this is a complete nightmare that she can't wake up from. And that she would, prefer to escape. Some part of her would prefer to escape by taking the option to unalive herself. I would not encourage that. I don't think she should do that. I think she could. The situation is far from being, they could fix it. They still could fix it. She still could own up and fix the whole thing, and strive to be the person that she has claimed to be. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a nightmare for her. I'm sure she's having a terrible time, and he's reading out the things that the lawyer said to make it seem like the effect of Christina exercising her free speech is so terrible that it warrants limiting free speech, waiving the First Amendment to protect Lauren.
Respondent seeks would eviscerate stalking protections for anyone with an online presence and would transform social media into a free fire zone for personal vendettas. The court should reject respondent's attempt to weaponize the First Amendment as a shield for targeted harassment.
So, I mean, lawyers always use fiery language to get their point across. So, I mean, Also, the lawyer's getting paid, to do this, so they have to come up with something. I mean, I honestly think that whoever is representing Lauren in this is taking her money. Because why not?
The First Amendment protects robust public debate and criticism, but it does not protect courses of conduct intended to cause fear or emotional distress.
It's criticism. She's criticizing her online. If Lauren is emotionally distressed by being criticized or being revealed for the things that she said and did, then she needs to look at the things that she said and did and maybe, change her behavior, maybe self-reflect a little. It's got nothing to do with stalking.
Targeted harassment campaigns, true threats, and stalking behavior. This is from...
It's not stalking behavior. The only one whose behavior has been... look at her face. The only one whose behavior has been stalker-like is Lauren's. Literally Lauren's. And either she is hiding what she's actually done from Dr. John, or he is colluding in this lie to save his own behind.
Virginia v. Black, 538 U.S., Counterman versus Colorado, 600.
And he thinks that a lawyer making an argument on his behalf is proof of anything at all. It's an argument. It's not proof. The judge already ruled that this is not stalking, it's free speech.
U.S. Quote, the First Amendment...
The argument failed with the judge, but he thinks that you're not as sophisticated as the judge, so this argument will win with you.
Permits restrictions on speech that threaten unlawful violence or consist of targeted harassment.
Again, no targeted harassment.
The most compelling evidence that respondents' conduct constitutes stalking, rather than protected speech, is that the singular purpose of her social media is the singular purpose of their social media accounts. Respondent has created at least 2 separate social media accounts dedicated exclusively to disparaging petitioner under the thin veil of discussing, quote, an ex-friend. This is not...
So, again, like under the thin veil. Where's your evidence that it's a thin veil? There's no evidence of that. He's skating past it again.
A case where respondent maintains general social media accounts that occasionally reference petitioner while discussing various topics. These accounts were created for one purpose only, to conduct a sustained campaign attacking the petitioner's moral character.
Again, it's not illegal to make a social media account that is specifically about one topic, particularly if your other social media accounts are about other things that are not related and that might bore your followers of those other accounts that are not about this particular subject.
When 100% of an account's content targets a single individual, it cannot be characterized as public discourse.
According to this argument, there is no, we don't have to follow this argument or agree with it, right? It's just an argument, and one that the judge rejected.
It is a harassment campaign.
My attorney is Dustin Dow. By the way, many people asked. They thought this was really well done. Thank you, Dustin.
Oh, they thought it was really well done. They thought it was really well done because he's a really great lawyer.
The Supreme Court has long distinguished between speech on matters of public concern and purely private disputes. See Snyder versus Phelps. Personal grievances between former friends do not constitute matters of public concern that warrant First Amendment protection when used as weapons for harassment.
But that's not what this is, right? This is not personal matters between friends. This is evidence that this limited public figure has been behaving unethically, and he's trying to, again, define it as something that it's not. So although this case that is being referenced to bolster this argument may have relevance to that argument does not have relevance to this situation because it's not a private issue between two friends.
This is revenge masquerading as free speech.
It's not revenge. It's seeking accountability. We have said this. So. If it wasn't for conflating, he wouldn't have anything to say to us. If he wasn't able to falsely conflate all these various different things throughout this entire thing, he wouldn't have any argument at all.
I'm skipping around, by the way.
Yeah. I read the whole thing on my 9-hour live. You're making your point.
The clear intent is to damage the petitioner's reputation and cause emotional distress. Each account creation...
The clear intent is to get accountability from the petitioner, Lauren Mathias.
Each post and each attempt to expand the audience for these attacks constitutes a separate act in the stalking pattern.
Again, they're not attacks. They are revelations of certain behaviors that Lauren has engaged in. So I don't think that's an attack. Like, it's literally akin to saying that revealing the fact that Lori Daybell was involved in the unaliving of her 2 children is an attack. It is no such thing.
Use of multiple platforms demonstrates escalation and obsessive behavior, not legitimate commentary. Here,
again, he's not defining obsession, but persistence in seeking accountability. I don't think that you can legitimately say that that's obsession. And that's what he's trying to say here.
Numbers speak for themselves. 50 plus posts and videos about you, petitioner, over a 6-month period across multiple platforms. This far exceeds the statutory minimum of, quote, 2 or more acts required by Utah law. Each of these 50...
Except 2 or more acts of stalking. But these are not stalking. So again, you can ignore what he's about to say.
Plus post represents a deliberate choice to continue the harassment campaign. This is not a case of 1 or 2 ill-considered posts in a moment of anger. This is a sustained, deliberate campaign spanning half a year. The sheer volume...
It's a sustained campaign to get accountability from Lauren and to reveal to the true crime community on YouTube what she's been up to in order to get clicks and money and followers and etc. And a lot of it is extremely unethical.
Demonstrate the obsessive nature of respondent's conduct and her intent to cause ongoing distress. The rags...
I do think that Lauren should be distressed by the things that she's done. She should be distressed by her behavior instead of being distressed by having it revealed. And that tells you everything you need to know about her character. She should have been distressed long before this stuff came out at the lengths she was going to get this kind of popularity that is based on lies. She should have had the good grace to realize that none of that should have been going on in the first place. Not waiting until it's revealed to be upset. She's upset about being revealed. That's it.
Court emphasized examining the cumulative effect of conduct. A social media harassment campaign creates unique cumulative harm. We talked about this in the research. Permanent digital footprint of attacks, viral potential of expanding the audience, 24/7 accessibility to harassing content, and recruitment of others to participate in the harassment, which she did.
Ignore all of it. Ignore all of it.
Also, the ongoing nature creates the fear of escalation.
Again, like, Lauren is in control of all of this. I am not on the side of anyone escalating things in terms of violence, in terms of going to her house, in terms of doxing, of sending out their address, or encouraging people to harass or hurt Lauren. I have no problem encouraging people to use their voices to speak up, to ask for accountability from these 2, and to even draw attention to YouTube that this is what these people are doing. Although, I mean, they allow all kinds of stuff on this platform, so who knows.
Respondent's opposition states it is simply not reasonable that Mathias would expect to continually engage in public discussion without encountering speech he disagrees with. This fundamentally misunderstands the reasonable person analysis under Utah Code 7-76-5-106.5.
Are we finally going to get a definition of reasonable person?
Proper inquiry is whether a reasonable person in petitioner circumstances would experience fear or emotional distress from the specific conduct alleged, not whether public figures should.
So if you're experiencing fear and distress about being exposed, that makes sense. Otherwise, like, what is there to be afraid of here? If it was all lies, she could, reasonably, I think, refute that. But instead, she's hiding everything. So, Christina can't reveal the text messages because she's not allowed to, right? But Lauren is allowed to. Lauren could reveal the text messages and say, see, nothing to see here. But instead, she's keeping all of those private and attacking Christina to try to protect herself.
Generally expect criticism. The Supreme Court in Counterman v. Colorado recently reaffirmed that states may constitutionally prohibit true threats and stalking conduct, requiring only a showing of recklessness regarding the threatening nature of communications. There's a compelling government interest that includes protecting citizens from fear, targeted harassment, and stalking of a compelling nature. The requested injunction seeks only to prevent stalking conduct, not legitimate criticism or protected speech. It is narrowly tailored to serve the government's interest in protecting petitioner from targeted harassment online. The evidence establishes that respondent created a systematic harassment campaign across multiple platforms, producing 53 plus documented videos and 33 plus Instagram posts dedicated exclusively to targeting the petitioner, which is confirmed.
So, hang on, confirmed by who?
By one of the witnesses.
Which witness? Sorry. What?
This unprecedented volume of content, combined with witness testimony, established a clear intent to harass rather than to engage in protected speech.
So again, I don't think that the attempt to harass has been proven in any way. The attempt is to get her to tell the truth. She's experiencing as harassment because the truth is not going to make her look good.
Respondent published a video with caption, "Without his consent," falsely insinuating the sexual assault of the petitioner's dying brother, who just passed away in March of 2025.
Okay, so we've already covered all of this, so whatever he's going to say here is whatever.
Psychological cruelty of this post cannot be overstated. Attacking a greedy...
Again, it's not the psychological cruelty of this post. It was a post, to my mind, it was an effort to show people the length to which Lauren would consider going in order to center herself in a tragedy and get kudos for being the hero and saving the day by allowing her brother's line to carry on, even though he was tragically taken by a traumatic brain injury. And I haven't seen anybody making cruel or any other kind of jokes about the death of Lauren's brother. Nobody. Literally no one.
Sister with false sexual assault allegations about her deceased brother. The respondent posted recordings of petitioner's voice comparing her murderer to murderer Jodi Arias, garnering 33,000 plus views.
I missed that one.
The events in Boise, Idaho also demonstrate how the respondent's online campaign translated into real-world stalking involving multiple accomplices. He lists those. I'm not going to go over those.
If you've seen those videos in Boise, it is very clear who the stalker is. And it's not Christina, and it's not any of the people that are associated with her. In fact, Christina wasn't even there for that event, the Koberger sentencing.
You've covered all these. I'm just covering the main points.
What Trisha Griffith said was really good. To mention her.
It is good. I'm just going to finish with this, and then I'm going to finish up with some final thoughts. Each post, each confrontation, each violation represents a separate act far exceeding the statutory minimum, which is two incidents. That's all you needed.
Right, just two.
Again, so there's no incidents because it's just free speech. So 0 incidents.
But more than that, let me just reiterate, her violating the stalking injunction at CrimeCon, that should have been an automatic grounds for enforcement.
I mean, so if the stalking injunction had been properly, if it was done properly in the first place, then perhaps that would, he would have a point. But, and he's trying to suggest that, excuse me, that the judge altered the stalking injunction. And you know, you could argue for that because, yeah, he did change it. But I think what happened, my understanding is that he changed it to what it should have been in the first place. That the one that had been put out was incorrect in some way. And so all he did was sort of correct that and then continue the hearing, the evidentiary hearing, until a later date, at which point Lauren canceled the whole thing because it was clear already from the fact that the judge had sort of straightened the whole thing out that the things that they were saying were stalking offenses were actually free speech. And so there was it was kind of, up in the air whether or not Christina had violated the injunction, because the injunction wasn't right in the first place. That's my understanding of it. If you know anything to be different, please share in the comments.
And the judge wouldn't even hear it.
Right, because what I've just said.
Respondents' opposition rests on two fundamental legal errors. Number one, the belief that public visibility diminishes one's right.
So, like, one part of the, one part of the letter, I'm just going to shift gears here for a minute. There was a letter written by a police, I said sergeant earlier, but it was a detective, who wrote to the CrimeCon security on behalf of Lauren and suggested that Christina was on her way there to be aggressive and violent towards Lauren. One of the things she said in that letter was that Lauren and Grayson were very supportive of law enforcement. So this was supposed to garner the support of the security at CrimeCon on her behalf, right? And then, but it's interesting to me the way that he is now speaking about the judge. So clearly, they support law enforcement as long as it supports them. But if law enforcement disagrees with them, they're quite free to start trashing law enforcement.
To be free from stalking. And two, the claim that social media accounts dedicated to attacking an ex-friend constitute protected public discourse. Both positions find no support.
Again, she's not attacking an ex-friend. She's seeking accountability from a public figure.
In Utah law, and would create dangerous precedents. I agree with that, by the way.
I cannot tell you how much I do not give a single hoot what John agrees with, because of how much he has revealed himself to be an absolute charlatan in the past 3.5 hours.
If this was dismissed, if we didn't drop this, the precedent here would have been unbelievable. Think about that. A small court.
If this had been stalking and not free speech, then maybe it would have been an amazing precedent. But it's not. And so, like, if wishes were horses, Dr. John.
In Provo, Utah, setting a precedent for all kids and adults to engage in unrestricted stalking under the guise of free speech for the rest of their lives. The statutory language is clear and dispositive. Utah Code.
It's just empowering people like that awful Becky and her horrible mother, Sylvia.
76-5-106.5 explicitly prohibits communications, quote, to or about an individual. The legislature did not limit the statute to direct contact. It deliberately included or about to capture indirect harassment campaigns.
To or
about. She doesn't need to speak to you. She just needs to speak about you.
Her attorney's actually specifically left out.
About, yeah.
On purpose, I'm sure. Yeah. Grayson even noted it, and then so did her attorney.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't speak to that because I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Her attorney's left out some of the case law.
Right, that was convenient. Let's just leave out the case law. Respondents' creation.
Again, like her, I don't know, he's trashing the judge here, basically, by saying the judge was too stupid to even know what free speech is. So the fact that the defense attorneys left out something means that the judge couldn't have made a proper ruling. So
The multiple social media accounts posted 50 plus times about petitioner over 6 months fall squarely within the statutory prohibition. Each of these 50 plus posts represents a deliberate choice to continue communicating about petitioner.
again, I feel like I'm having a hard time even listening to this because these arguments were denied by the judge. So whatever the fact that he's making them again to try to win you over is underhanded. The courts have already spoken, and they're trying to get around the legal ruling by talking about the judge.
To third parties, far exceeding the statutory minimum of 2 acts required for a course of conduct. Utah's civil stalking statute protects all persons equally, regardless of their public profile or social media presence. The statute's inclusion of communication about individuals demonstrates the legislature's clear intent to prevent exactly what respondent has done here: conduct an indirect harassment campaign through social media. To hold otherwise would eviscerate stalking protections in the modern digital age and create an untenable legal precedent whereby anyone with an online presence forfeits basic personal safety protection. The evidence clearly establishes that respondent has engaged in a sustained campaign of harassment through multiple social media platforms. This is not protected public discourse. It is targeted harassment using an ex-friend as a thin veil for a personal vendetta. The First Amendment protects robust public debate. It does not protect weaponizing social media platforms to conduct harassment campaigns about individuals through dozens of posts over months. The evidence before this court paints a disturbing picture of calculated, sustained harassment that has driven a professional journalist and mother to contemplate respondents' creation of a account solely to expose her
She's a mother.
ex-friend, her recruitment of others to join this campaign, her physical stalking across state lines, her brazen violation of this court's...
There's no physical stalking across state lines. That's a straight up lie, Dr. John. Straight up lie. The only one who has been physically stalking anyone is Lauren. And she knew that Christina was going to CrimeCon. She publicly made it known that she wasn't going. And then at the last minute, she showed up in an effort to get Christina arrested so that she could make her civil stalking injunction permanent, and all of this would remain hidden from the rest of us. So maybe that's the hidden in hidden true crime.
Injunction demonstrate conduct that no reasonable interpretation of law would protect, except Provo courts.
Well, we don't know. We draw.
He's got a real hate on for the Provo courts. Look out.
Patricia Griffith summarized it best, quote, criticism of someone's work is one thing, but setting out to destroy a person, to incite fear, and to threaten their livelihood is reprehensible, harmful, and flat out wrong.
Thank you.
So she didn't threaten her livelihood. She implied that when all of this comes out, Lauren's livelihood is going to be in big trouble. There's a very big difference between threatening Lauren's livelihood and suggesting that Lauren's livelihood is going to be in trouble. It's a big difference.
Tricia Griffith.
Thank you, Tricia. The court must reject the respondent's attempt to weaponize the First Amendment as a shield for what multiple witnesses, including a forensic psychologist, have identified as dangerous stalking behavior with, quote, clear...
I wonder which forensic psychologist he's referring to. Let me think.
Antisocial traits that significantly increase the risk of harmful behavior in the future. We talked about that earlier.
So again, like, he is diagnosing Christina with antisocial traits, with very thin, basically non-existent evidence.
In the show. Those are the main points. So...
Phew, so we only have to listen to another 8 minutes of John. So here we go.
For those on the side of free speech at any cost, that's what our attorney said. I want to...
So again, like, he's implying something here. He's saying that anybody who is on the side of free speech, or who is saying that this is a free speech issue, are on the side of free speech at any cost. And that's a pretty big stretch. So nobody here that I have heard from or seen talking about this has said that there should be free speech at any cost. His little thought experiment was describing free speech at any cost. But again, that's not what's going on here. His thought experiment was somebody defaming someone else, and that someone else never doing anything about it for decades until they finally basically unalived themselves as a last resort. And again, that's not what's happening here, and I haven't seen anybody suggesting, except John, that it is.
You end with a book.
I know, you got a lot of
Where's my book?
It's over here now.
He needs another book. He can't think on his own feet. He has to have a book.
Is it this book over here?
No, it's the... Oh, here it is. I got it. All right, here we are. How long has this been going on?
Not 9 hours.
Too long. Way, way too long.
Oh, 4 hours. All right. I thought it would be around 3, but we far exceeded that. 4 hours. So think about that. I'm less than half of your epic marathon.
Yeah.
So, it's still way
I want to
too
go back
much.
to this idea of a moral crusade and how important that was for this campaign.
Oh my god, oh my
And
god, oh my god, oh my
I wanna
god! Oh my god.
A little bit about. So one of the things I've been doing is revisiting the Salem witch trials, the historical record, and also Arthur Noah's interpretation in The Crucible.
Okay, so The Crucible was about McCarthyism in the United States, and it is so historically wrong that anything that he is going to say about it is going to be absolute bullcrap because it's not historically accurate. And also I wanted to mention that the first time he brought up the witch trials or whatever, tried to claim that Lauren was a victim, just like witches in the witch trials. He was talking about witches as though there were witches and then people didn't grok with their witchiness. When in fact, there's some evidence that there were women that used herbs and things, that were healers, that were types of healers that were being tarred as witches. There's that. But there's also the fact that we're just talking about, like, any old person could be called a witch. He was talking about it as though witches existed and then people didn't like them so they burned them, rather than that anybody could be accused of being a witch if, for many reasons. Maybe you owed, John down the road for the 3 buckets of milk that he brought you last week, but you haven't got the money to pay. So in order to get out of that obligation, you accuse his wife of being a witch, and you say that all she did was, when you didn't pay, she came to your house and she gave the evil eye to your pig, and then later the pig, died in a crazy, you know what I mean? Like, so he doesn't have an accurate historical understanding of witches. So anything that he's about to say here is, again, please take it with a very, very, very large grain of salt.
Okay.
I think there's no doubt that the Salem witch trials were a moral crusade, because they were obviously, the community was engaged in a smear campaign against.
Okay, so yes, he's right. The witch trials were a moral crusade. This is not.
Specific individuals that they deemed to be witches. Of course, there were no such thing as witches. It was a moral crusade because it was based in the puritanical.
Okay, so he's acknowledged that now. So good.
Religious and spiritual worldview of the community. So the basic idea was that if you find witches that don't exist, that you purge them, you eliminate them, right? And that's the same thing we saw in Dayville, by the way.
Yeah.
Group of people, they called themselves what do they call themselves?
The Seven Gatherers.
Seven Gatherers, right. Which, not ironically, is the same label that this group uses to describe themselves.
I can't comment
Similar
on
dynamics. But in the book,
that. In the book. It's not in his brain, it's in the book.
Penguin. This is the Penguin Classics version of The Crucible. There's an introduction by a literary critic. His name.
Again, it's not a historically accurate telling of what happened.
Was Christopher Bigsby. Bigsby does a brilliant job of summarizing the critical motivations in The Crucible, also a moral crusade. 19 witches were hanged.
19 people were hanged. None of them were witches.
Dogs were killed, and 1 person was crushed to death during the Salem witch trials in 1692. I'm going to read this line from the critic. Because
some of them were men. In case you weren't aware, some of them were men.
I think it's absolutely relevant to this discussion, and I think it's a good way to end in thinking about all the motivations that this smear campaign involved, all the.
So he's going to sum up all of his nonsense wrong think here into one nice little package for you to think about it, so that they can get away with all of this if you fall for it. So
all the people that believe they have the moral authority to vilify you and dehumanize you, right? Just like they did.
Nobody is dehumanized, Lauren, that I have seen. No one.
Salem, Massachusetts. Like, has the world really changed?
I mean, I don't think the world has really changed, but again, I don't think this is a relevant example of what happened here. I think a more relevant example of what happened here is somebody like Mika Stauffer. If you know Mika Stauffer, she was a mommy blogger who adopted a special needs child from China, and then a couple of years later, when it turned out that she was in no way competent to manage the challenges that this child was facing, she got rid of him, basically. And the backlash on the channel was enormous. And they had been huge influencers with huge numbers of followers. And they are gone. disappeared no more. They exist no more because they were called out. Mika in particular was called out for the narcissism that was fueling her desire to adopt a special needs child so that, like Lori Vallow, she could get kudos for that. Well, she's gone now. And I think that this right here is a really similar example and is much more apt than anything John might have to say about the witch trials by reading from the foreword of The Crucible, which is literally an allegory about McCarthyism in the 50s.
In 350 years, has the world really changed that much?
No. No.
I'm going to read this.
So no, the world hasn't really changed that much. There are still unscrupulous people, like these two, who are willing to weaponize lies about other people in order to save themselves and benefit personally.
In his hands, meaning Arthur Miller's hands, quote, this is from the introduction, quote, in Arthur Miller's hands, the ghosts of those who died have proved real enough. Even if the witches they were presumed to be were little more than fantasies, conjured by a mixture of fear, ambition, frustration, jealousy, and perverted pride.
I love that we're wrapping up with this beautiful little example of projection from Dr. John, because that's what the video is all about. Projection and hypocrisy in hidden true crime.
That's exactly, I couldn't say it better. Those are exactly the motivations.
I mean, he couldn't say it better. If he could, he would, right? He wouldn't have to read somebody else's words.
That fueled the smear campaign. Those are the motivations that fueled.
They absolutely are. These are Lauren's motivations in smearing Christina. Well said, Dr. John. Thank you.
Vilifying you, dehumanizing you.
Nobody has dehumanized Lauren that I have seen.
Let me read it again. The witches were presumed to be little more than fantasies conjured by a mixture of fear, ambition, frustration, jealousy, and perverted pride.
Right.
Why fear? Why fear? Because I think you pose threats.
He has such a warped view of who his wife is. It's hard to even fathom. Either that, or he's just straight up lying. So either way, it's not flattering to him. He's either an oblivious dum-dum, or he's an unethical liar. But either way, he's unethical. And this whole thing is a giant embarrassment, and we only have 2.5 minutes to go.
To people's identities. You pose threats to their self-esteem. You may have posed threats to their businesses.
She poses no threat to Christina's self-esteem. She has posed threats to Christina's freedom and Christina's reputation, but that's it.
Not from anything you did.
I'll say I didn't.
Not from anything.
Definitely from things that she did, from all the things that she did that Christina was trying to reveal, and then all the things that she did since she found out that Christina was trying to reveal all the things that she did.
You did. Just from running our channel, from producing good art and good content, by getting good interviews, by being a quality journalist.
By positioning yourselves so close to the victims who were in such a vulnerable state that they didn't know if they were coming or going. Well done, Lauren. You managed to exploit people who were in the throes of the worst experience that they have ever been through or ever will go through. And you managed to position yourself right up close to them so you could get all the dirty little secrets to make your millions from. Well done, girl.
By being an ethical journalist, you created fear. Ambition, because all of these people were competitors.
So she's the one who's going around backstabbing people and sending out cease and desist letters and striking people's content and all the rest of it so that she can emerge as the top dog. So again, more projection here.
Ambition. Their ambition to see you as a witch.
So most of the people... God. Most of the people, honestly, I wouldn't give Lauren the credit of being a witch. I think that any witches, if they actually existed, would have powers and imagination and the ability to affect the world way more than Lauren could ever have without lying and hiding and sneaking around and being unethical.
Frustration. This group was frustrated because they couldn't control you. This group couldn't get you to conform. Jealousy.
They couldn't get her to conform to being a decent human being. I'll give him that one.
Jealousy over the quality of your work. Nothing more.
The quality of Lauren's work is mediocre. I find her presentation extremely smarmy and insincere. So, to me, that's not great quality. And some of the videos that I've seen where she's basically sticking a microphone right in the face of someone who is in the throes of a horrible grief, extremely questionable behavior, in my opinion.
Over the fact that you were growing so rapidly. Perverted pride. That's the pride to control the world. The pride to dominate the world. The pride to control other people. The pride to harass other people, to control them, to intimidate them. And most of
everything that these guys have done and are doing right now is what he's describing.
Importantly, I'm going to add with this final thought.
Oh my God. We made it. The final thought.
Pride to engage in a self-righteous moral crusade against you.
So, righteously seeking accountability does not equal a self-righteous moral crusade. Final thought.
For no reason other than pure fantasy.
So again, if we had the actual text messages that Lauren is in control of releasing or not, we could decide for ourselves if it was a fantasy. But we're not going to be allowed to decide for ourselves if it's a fantasy because Lauren is going to hide the evidence and continue to make accusations against Christina.
That's it.
That's all you got? I don't have a watch on.
Again, hilarious. Hilarious. I feel so lighthearted now. The levity is really doing things for me, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Was it 9 hours? You pretty good.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
She's proud of her 9-hour thing. Like, it's so weird. I cannot understand how these two people are not absolutely humiliated by everything that they have revealed to the YouTube true crime community through these two videos. It speaks to how absolutely oblivious they are of how they come across, which to me speaks to a serious lack of empathy, because one of the side effects of lacking empathy is lacking the ability to imagine how other people are receiving you.
You didn't have to take a bathroom break. I did.
No, I took one.
Okay, you did. Oh, so did I.
Okay, so that's the end of the Smear People. So the 5-part series is complete, and my next video is going to be the Smear People addendum, best of the comment section. So look out for that one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for indulging me. Thanks for all your comments and all of your support. I have been absolutely thrilled with my debut on YouTube. So until next time, thanks for coming.